Rain hammered against the high plexiglass windows of the Orion 9 outpost, a research station nestled in the stormy cliffs of Vega's third moon. Thunder rolled low and slow across the horizon like a wounded beast. Inside, Dr. Lucas Wren adjusted the bandage wrapped around his palm, wincing at the sting. "You shouldn't have reached for the plasma conduit," said a gruff voice behind him. Lucas turned to see the source, small but fierce, drenched and shivering, arms crossed tightly. She was the most stubborn alien he'd ever met. And technically the only one. "I wasn't about to let it explode," he said. "You weren't about to survive it either," she shot back, brushing rain-drenched strands of silvery hair from her eyes. Suri of the Thalen people had crash-landed on the moon 3 weeks ago. Lucas had found her in a twisted wreck of obsidian black metal, unconscious, bleeding, and snarling even in her sleep. From the moment she awoke in the infirmary, their communication had been a series of tense, clipped exchanges and icy glares. But she'd stayed. He wasn't sure why. "I didn't ask for your help," she had told him on the second day, eyes like molten gold fixed on his every movement. "No," he'd said calmly, "but you need it." Now she stood there, soaked and irritated, looking every bit like a wild animal someone tried to tame. Lucas offered a half-smile, the kind that curled one side of his mouth. "I did save your life." Her nostrils flared. "I didn't ask you to. You also didn't object." "Because I was unconscious, idiot." Lucas chuckled and turned back to his tools. "Still counts." Suri hissed, a real hiss, low and feline, and stalked across the room, snatching the hydro-bandage spool from his hand. "You're going to do this wrong. Sit." He blinked but sat without protest. She worked in silence, her fingers deftly wrapping the new dressing. Her touch was surprisingly gentle. "You're cute when you're angry," Lucas said absently. Suri froze. Her eyes snapped up, lips peeling back in a snarl. "Don't. Me. Cute." Lucas raised his hands in surrender, grinning. Okay. Fierce. Intimidating. Absolutely terrifying." "Good," she said, finishing the bandage with a sharp tug. But the tips of her ears burned a deeper hue. Later that night, lightning flashed again through the windows, casting stark shadows in the dim room. Lucas sat on the worn sofa in the outpost's common area, thumbing through a worn datapad. A steaming cup of synthabrew sat untouched at his side. The silence of the room was interrupted by soft footsteps. Suri stood in the doorway, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Her silver hair was loose now, falling around her face in tangled waves. "You all right?" Lucas asked. She nodded, then shook her head. "Too loud to sleep." "Storms here are like that," he said, patting the space beside him. "You can sit." Suri hesitated, then crossed the room with graceful, animalistic movements. She settled beside him, curling the blanket tighter. Lucas looked at her sideways. "For someone who growls so much, you look like a kitten in that blanket." She turned her head slowly toward him. "Say that again and I'll tear out your tongue." Lucas held up both hands. "Right. Terrifying. Got it." She rolled her eyes. But she didn't move away. The next day brought a different kind of storm, one inside the station itself. The AI systems had begun to glitch, flickering lights and doors sealing and unsealing at random. "System anomaly," the outpost's monotone voice droned. "Unknown interference detected." Lucas frowned. "Something's scrambling the electronics." Suri stepped beside him, her expression grim. "Your station's shielding is poor. The magnetic storms, combined with your wiring, make it vulnerable." "You think I don't know that?" Lucas muttered, already typing rapid commands into the console. Suri tilted her head. Your frustration is unbecoming. And your smugness is really consistent. Still, they work side by side for hours. Lucas rewiring the relays. Suri crawling into the vents to reroute power channels with her clawed hands. It was dangerous, chaotic, and exhausting. But somehow they made it through. By nightfall the lights steadied. The hum of the station returned to its usual thrum. Lucas collapsed into his chair, breathing hard. Remind me again why I didn't become a botanist. Suri, dust-covered and smirking, dropped a datapad on the table. Because plants don't flirt back. Lucas stared at her. You're learning sarcasm, he said. She tilted her head proudly. I'm adapting. The days turned into a pattern. Repairs, arguments, quiet meals, and more sarcasm. Suri never said thank you. Lucas never asked for one. But a strange rhythm emerged between them. One of tentative trust and unspoken understanding. Sometimes he caught her staring at him from across the room. Sometimes he let her catch him staring back. And once, just once, she smiled. Real one. One night, the storms outside grew violent again. A red warning pulse lit up the station walls. Lucas barely had time to read the alert before a concussive blast rocked the structure. The power flickered. Emergency systems kicked in. Suri, he called, stumbling through the corridor. She met him halfway, a small gash bleeding from her temple. Energy surge hit the generator core. Backups fried. Evac shuttle won't launch without power, Lucas muttered, pulling her toward the central bay. She gritted her teeth. We'll have to reroute manually. They plunged into the engine room, working in near darkness. Time blurred. Lucas's hands bled again. Suri coughed from the smoke. Sparks flew. At one point she collapsed to her knees. I can't. Lucas grabbed her, voice hoarse. Don't give up now. She looked up at him, eyes glassy. I'm not cute, she whispered. He stared at her, then smiled softly. No, you're fierce, and brilliant, and brave. Her lower lip trembled. And then, almost like surrender, she leaned forward and rested her forehead against his. I hate you, she muttered. Lucas laughed. Sure you do. They fixed it. Barely. The station held through the night. By morning the worst had passed. The sky outside cleared to a soft violet, and the first rays of Vega's twin suns cut through the gloom. Lucas stood at the window, watching the storm remnants drift away. He didn't hear her approach until he felt her weight gently press against his back. You didn't leave, he said quietly. I had the chance, she murmured. But I didn't. He turned around and she was there, still wrapped in that same worn blanket, hair tangled, golden eyes unreadable. I don't know why I stayed, she said. But I don't want to go. Lucas swallowed hard. You don't have to. She stepped closer, her voice low. Say it again and I will bite you. He blinked. Say what? She glared. The word. The one that starts with C. Lucas tilted his head, thinking. You mean, cuddly. She growled, a deep warning sound. But he didn't back away. Instead, he opened his arms. And to his complete astonishment, she stepped into them. Her frame pressed against his chest, small and warm, her sharp angles softening against him. I'm not cute, she growled again, muffled now. I know, he whispered. She curled up tighter against him, unmoving. The storm outside had passed. But inside, where hearts beat in awkward, unfamiliar rhythms, something new was beginning. And for the first time in a long time, neither of them felt alone.